I mean, the 11th or the 17th. You hear me?
Yeah.
I mean, I meant the 17th. That is 119. On the 17th is 90 something.
11 to 5, 119. That ain't bad.
And I think that's that they already given her 50 some minutes.
I don't think that'd be bad. You?
I don't.
Yeah, it's all right.
So far you get there early.
Mm-hmm.
You transfer the money in your account. I mean, you got the money.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Peace. Huh? It's done?
No.
Huh? Okay. Check an eye on it for me. All right. Peace, peace, peace. I don't know why my other. Maybe I gotta come back some. I don't know. It just looked real cloudy on this platform. I don't know why it looks like that, but that's why I always ask my people to come on YouTube, because it'd be so cloudy on Facebook. So I'm gonna end that in a second, because it's just so dark, and I have to get another one of my tripods so I can have it standing up a little higher. So apologies. One of my homies just was like, please, I'm on here. Don't, you just gotta come to YouTube, fam. I said, oh, come to YouTube. And we live on YouTube. Well, let me see. I thought I had it. And I don't have an extra tripod. But as a lot of my friends and family come on Facebook, I shoot them to YouTube. I just wanted to have a good discussion today. Because a lot of things, man, I don't think we really have a clear understanding of. You know, I just don't, especially with Moors. When they talk about Dr. Ben, when they talk about John Henry Clark, and I say, well, okay, well, if you respect John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben as teachers and elders, then you should have a problem with what we're teaching and what we're illuminating and what we're resurrecting. I want to, let me see, I want to play a little snippet of John Henry Clark. Hold on, I just got to go through got so much stuff. We're getting ready to have our Moorish Ball in a few months, so. But give me 1 second. That's a lot we're going to talk about today. But I do have a subtopic and and a main topic. But every time I get here, I be so ecstatic that you all are here. Okay, let me go back a little bit. Huh? Okay, we'll discuss this when I'm done. Yes. But we can't. No, it's okay. All right. Let me see something. I want to play a little something real fast. Let me know if you can hear it. Wait till the commercial's over. This is only a little 7 minutes. But listen.
Trying to get across the essence of what Africa was before the Europeans touched it. And this is what you have to know. And to understand, even if you understand the series, The Africans, you have to have read a lot of African history to understand the omissions. He throws in a lot of good things to disguise the fact that he's leaving out a lot of good things. And he's not telling African history chronologically. He's skipping here and there, giving you little tidbits. And yet, he is downgrading it in some places and upgrading it in other places. He is Islamic con artist that has come along in years, but he never fails to throw in a good piece for Islam. He is running a unique game. I'm not saying that there are not some good things in there. If you listen well, there's some good things. In the fourth session, he begins by downgrading the numbers of African slaves, taken out of about 12 million. He must be absolutely crazy. Du Bois' statistics is from 60 to 100 million. In his examination of the records at the end of the 19th century. And they've been examined since then. Nkora, the Nigerian historian, said it must have been as much as 200 million. And in the movement of Africans from the hinterland to the coast, I saw figures and statistics this summer that proves that 7 out of 10 died in the movement from the hinterland to the coast. And at one lone
I'm gonna speed up a little bit. I want to get to this one part.
Africans who became slaves to the Maharajas of India and formed the armies of India because the Iranians who conquered India did not trust local armies. Many of the Africans rose to high positions in India. One became governor of Bengal, Malacca. Another one rose so high as a general, they named a river after him, Ganges. Notice how he praises the northern African countries like Algeria. Notice how uniquely he downgrades countries like Ghana and Nigeria. Notice how he downgrades in the so-called the Christian nations. Notice how he upgrades the Muslim countries. It's a con game. Very uniquely. But there was another series done by Basil Davis, and it's far better than that one. But you're not going to see that one because that was done by an Englishman and a white man. See, sometimes we get into color games and don't know what we're doing to ourselves. Basil Davidson, every time Basil Davidson came to a critical part of history, he put an African historian before the camera to explain. And he did a good job of it. Basil Davidson's series was far more honest and more historically true than the one with Ali Mazrui. Ali Mazrui is descendant of Omani Arab slave traders, the most vicious of the African slave traders. You don't know the history. You don't know this. You think you're seeing something that's good. And there are enough good pieces in the series to make a whole lot of people think that they're actually seeing something good. Now, I'm not saying don't see it. See it by all means. There are quite a few good things in it. What's left out is another story.
So that was John Henry Clark. You know, one of his lectures. I'm gonna play a little bit of another one just so you talk about the African origins of Christianity. And especially what I'll be wanting to say is, brothers and sisters get caught up with all this internet debating and stuff, but then you will hear the brothers talk about, yeah, John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben and I read all my elders and all this. How can that be so? If your word is totally different what they saying. That's why I be saying it's a difference from internet scholarship and road scholarship and real scholarship. It just is. I'll give you an analogy. Well, a scenario in academia, when we trying to prove credibility, if a person say, well, I have a PhD in this and that and the other, and I say, okay, well, that's fine. Well, I have a bachelor's degree in this and a master's degree in this and my affiliations, and I show my degrees from my university, not saying I'm nothing. That's like everybody saying this is the white man degree, whatever. Not saying I'm nothing. But if I profess that I have this and I put these numbers and letters behind my name, damn it, you should stand on it. If not, shut up. And that's what I be telling people. So let's proceed. This is a commercial.
The Romans, bunch of well-dressed thugs who could write well but couldn't think, who borrowed practically everything. They laughed at the Africans' concept of Christianity. The African was practicing and not giving it a name. This is why you don't know nothing about the African origins of Christianity. This is why.
Now let me pause it. That's why most of our people don't understand, and I know it's blurry on Facebook, but if my family and friends, if it's blurry, please come to my YouTube page. Kari, IBNA, Hakeem Goodman Bey, and it's a little clearer. I just want my family peace and love, Valerie. Love you, sis. You always here, man. That's why I say it's love. You always here, and I'm glad you're here.
A lot of people will not read Ben Yakinen's The African Origins of the Major Western Religions, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, a Black Man of the Nile. Because he's telling it like it is, but you also will not read white radicals who identified Africa as the origin of the great religions of the world, especially Albert Boyd Kuhn in his work, Who is this King of Glory?
Now remember our lecture, I told y'all about Albert Boyd Kuhn, Albert Churchward, Albert Churchward, Gerald Massey. That's why I be saying I'm resurrecting the teachers. I'm showing people here, and I have the whole library. I'm not coming up. I can't create nothing. Historians don't create nothing, or we wouldn't be historians. We wouldn't be scholars.
And shot off the 30th century. We have Deborah John Jackson, another radical black historian, with man, God, and civilization. We let some of our great scholars die in hunger, die wanting for friendship. Now, having devoted my greater portion of my life to scholarship and teaching and digging up information on African people and trying to make African people face reality, I have often said a point that I wish you to consider. I didn't have to do it. I chose to do it. And if I had to do it over again, I would do it better.
And I gotta stop right there. Like I said, I choose to do this, and like I tell people, I got a degree in business. When I got my business degree, I was learning Wall Street and how to deal with how to deal with investments and Merrill Lynch. That's what I was doing. That's why I know this when I know hogwash, because I know the average Negro don't know the language. But I choose to do this. I choose this type of struggle. Why? Because the Holy Spirit chose me. This ain't got nothing to do with me. It pulled me. Like, I am great at a lot of things. I am great at a lot of things. But the Holy Spirit chose me to do this as a representative. And so I must stand on it. Let's proceed.
It's hard on your mind. Because you think if you don't have Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, you don't have to have spirituality. I've got more spirituality after I put all of them down. And I've got no religion after I put all of them down. All right, now let me conclude something that has no conclusion. We have to look at the impact of Europeans on Africa. All impacts have been negative. The Romans laughed at the early African Christians. Finally, for political reasons, they stopped killing Christians and became Christians. I'm saying the Europeans became Christians for political reasons, as the Arabs became Muslim for political reasons, and as the so-called Jews became Hebrews for political reasons. People use organizations for political reasons, and what we get so dewy-eyed and think we deal with the truth. If you look at indigenous African belief systems, if you look at the idea when Africans had no churches of any consequence because these fools came here and said, this is the house of God, and the African looked at the church and said, if God who made the wind, the spring, made the ocean roll, and you gonna tell me he can fit into a little thing you call a church? That is no house of God. So somehow we had the common sense enough to move away from it, and some had the common sense to put it down. I'm saying that you're closer to God when the further way you get away from organized religions that are all handmaidens of conquest. The Roman Empire developed during the early period of Christianity. Remember, the Roman Empire started in Africa. It rose in Africa. It fell in Africa. A lot of people need to stop reading some religious books and read some straight history. Without fable, without supposition, without myth. Read straight history. Read the Mediterranean world in ancient times. She's a racist bigot, but her chronology is good. It is a good history of the European trying to move out of Europe into the Mediterranean to find something to eat, to put on that gosh darn awful European food. He has solved his problems at the expense of other people. The slave trade liberated Europe from the depressed economy they had created with the so-called Crusades and through the famines and the plagues. Europe Robinson's work, the history of the modern world, especially the early chapters. Now, the evidence of Africans in the New World, the evidence of 1,000 years of civilization before slavery, all of this I'm not discussing because there is no time. But when the Romans disgraced themselves in the mismanagement of Christianity, they created a vacuum. Islam moved into that vacuum. The Africans thought that Islam would get the Romans off of their back. They were right. Islam got the Romans off of their back, and the Arabs jumped on their back, and they're still there, using Islam to justify it. Now, the African military man, because we are the greatest fighting machine in the face of the earth, if we ever discovered this, people gonna start running. Under proper leadership, proper inspiration, properly equipped, the black man is the greatest human fighting machine God ever created. If indeed God created it. I think the gods of Africa created it. Once you lose track of your heritage, you lose track of your liberty in this world. The Europeans doing the slave trade not only read the African out of history, they colonized history, they colonized information about history. They colonized image. They colonized the image of God. Who told you Christ was what? He was born in that part of the world predominantly occupied by non-European people. So you should not get into the argument about whether he's what. All you have to say, was he a Greek? No. Was he a Roman? No. But these were the only people partially white in the area at the time. If he wasn't a Greek, he wasn't a Roman, he was one of those other people. You don't have to argue about the shades of color. So far as you're concerned, once you establish he was not a Roman, he was not a Greek, your conversation is over. If somebody else want to argue about his shade, well, that's their problem. And if you got a problem with color, then you got a problem with your mother and your father. You have insulted your mother and your father if you don't like what they gave you. I wear mine like a badge of honor. I dig it. I wear it well. All right.
And that's John Henry Clark. Dr. Ben, all our scholars tell you the same thing. And they give credit to our Moorish history. Not the stupid stuff that we letting people promulgate. I'm gonna play one more piece of scholarship. I'm gonna play one more piece of scholarship. Let me pull it up. To let you hear from scholars and academia and universities. A lot of people might not even know this, brother. I'm about to share. It's called on YouTube. It's called
This week we're hosting a free trading and
Civilization
investing
of the
workshop
Moors
right here in
by
Scottsdale.
Robin
Inside
Walker.
this workshop, you'll learn you don't need to be a Wall Street pro to.
Let me say it again. The Civilization of the Moors by Robin Walker. And Robin Walker done so many lectures all over London, just like, which I told all my muftis and everything, what's getting ready to happen, because I know when you're in academia and when you're part of real organizations and things and part of alumni, people seek you out. These people, they're a little older, but then they've seen my dissertations and my oral dissertations and my written dissertations like, you are a lecturer. And I told people what was going to happen. And they say, you shouldn't even be doing what you're doing. They're like, you can do this. And then if you put the video out, fine. But it's people that pack the crowds. Some of them be having doctors, but my experience, my history, I have a master's. And I have a plethora of history and what I'm talking about. And I have a full library. And I have elders. European Masons and European Jews, Rosicrucians, all that, potentates, and they call me Melchizedek. They call me El Elyon, El Eros. All of them. Isn't that something? So, I'm going to play a little bit of this, and y'all can listen to it. Take notes. When I be telling people, We don't have to deal with the stupid aspect of this science. Our science and our history and our Moorish legacy is ancient and is rich. And it's brothers like myself and others that represent their Moorish legacy with their, not only how we speak and teach, but how we look. And also in scholarship. Because it's levels to wisdom. And that's what I'm telling people. I'm not orthodox. I'm a Moorish scholar. I'm a shaman. I'm a tasawwuf. I've been through a lot of ranks. I've been through the Christian churches. I've been through a lot of things. I've been homeschooled. And people that know me really know my metamorphosis and my resurrection. And this is what I be telling people. I should be a prophet and angel for my family. I should. We should have our own temple. None of my family should be looking like, yeah, he's been doing this for a minute and he got it. And then when people ask, are you supporting? No, we can. So watch this. Listen to a little bit of this. Because we on good time. I want to speed it up a little bit.
We do webinars and that sort of stuff. So check us out, thehiddenscienceacademy.com. And I'm curious, just show of hands, who's never been to a Hidden Science Academy event before? Show of hands.
Let me spill up a little bit.
Does that make sense?
Let me go back a little bit.
Things.
All right, here we go.
The presentation is called The Civilization of the Moors, and I represent a company called the Black Secret Education Project. We are quietly empowering the people. Check us out. Is theblacksecret.co.uk, and you do have.
And I have to stop right there. Theblacksecret.com.uk. This is what I'll be telling people if you listen. All this stuff is popular in Europe. When I tell you about the Corsica map and Swarty Paya, all this stuff, the Moors of Spain, the ancient and Monte Britons, they know this. But then we get caught up with these goofy Negroes and these people, well, the Moors the one that killed this and traced. We ain't talking about that goofy modern stuff that you talking about. We're not dealing with that. So let's proceed.
Have access to a free book that we are giving away, but you have to give us your email. 100 Black History Facts. All right, now, where do people like to begin African history? Is that not where everyone likes to start? Everyone's comfortable starting right here. Not just European people. So many people like to deal with this. Does anyone know what this is?
My partner was like, hold on, I'm gonna give y'all a treat. Hold on, let me do something. Let me give y'all a treat. All right, I'll do it later. Hold on. Listen to
It
this.
is Elephant and Castle, but what is the crest actually depicting?
I think it's the East Indian.
Listen to this. I'm not gonna play the whole thing. I'm gonna jump around.
This is actually the Royal African Company. Some people call it the Guinea Company. And this is what there's a book on heraldry, and they have a section called Royal African Company. And can you see it says, supporters to African blacks. Can we see that? And then underneath, we've got a certain motto in Latin. Anyone here speak Latin? Anybody?
Let me speed it up to the good part. To a good part I want y'all to hear. Because we got to proceed. I can't stay in that too long.
Look, if you're over 40.
But I gave you where you can watch the film on your own. I just want y'all to, excuse me, hear these specific parts in this film.
Which is in a field margins, an elephant proper.
Hold on, let me go back a little bit.
Are we getting this? And then they have an example.
Watch this.
Marrakesh, which is the
Here we go. Here we go.
Montpellier, France, 1180. Oxford, England, 1200. Toulouse,
Wait. There we go.
from the Berbers of North and West Africa.
Wait,
In the year
back a little bit more.
1048, Northwest Africa.
Just a little bit. Hold on.
Well, from two
Here we go.
principal sources, Syria and North Africa. The Eastern writer, El Yaziri, was a leading proponent of these ideas. So, new ideas, what dates, please? What dates? 12th and 13th centuries. Does that make sense? And when this happened, this was New. We getting this? And then they have an example of a water wheel, and then they have the animal-powered water lifting device. Can you see that? Yeah? Now, medieval Nubia had sakias. Can you see that sakia is the same as that? Does that make sense? All they did was they changed the four-legged beastie in the picture. Yes? And then we read Ibn Halkal writing in 951 AD. What date, please? The most prosperous part of the country, Nubia, is the territory of Alwa, which has a continuous chain of villages and a continuous strip of cultivated land, so that a traveller may in one day pass through many villages, one joining the next, supplied with waters drawn from the Nile by means of sakias. 951 AD's 10th century. So why did the Granada Museum say the 12th and 13th century stuff was new? Why did they say that? Well, let's look again. We read about the new stuff, and we read that it was an Eastern writer called El-Yazari. Do you see? So they wanted to credit him. Now, why did they want to credit him? One wonders why they'd want to credit him. All right, now keeping it moving. How do we know the culture was mostly African? Well, when you read the descriptions of the early sultans of Spain, some of them are described as blonde, white, copper-colored, brown, reddish, dark, frizzly-haired, woolly-haired, etc. Well, they don't sound like Africans, so what's going on? Answer.
Let me pause up. Let me give you some scholarship. Brunette, swarty. Look up what that means. Really, the etymology, brunette, swarty. Brunette mean copper color. I'm telling you what history prevails and what history teaches. Let's proceed.
Huge amounts of intermarriage. Yeah? But so how do we know the culture was African? Well, in 1992, the Journal of Human Biology carried an article called Importation Route of the Sickle Cell Trait into Portugal, Contribution of Molecular Epidemiology. Let's read it. To elucidate the origin and spread of the sickle cell trait into the Portuguese population, we examined 9 polymorphic DNA markers within the beta-globin gene cluster, defining the haplotype. The population sample included 64 sickle cell gene-bearing individuals from defined Portuguese-speaking white, black, and Asian Indian populations. The nature and geographic distribution of the different beta S haplotypes in Portugal suggests that the sickle cell trait has been imported twice. How many times, please? Twice. Okay, so we're interested in the first one, aren't we? Between the 8th and 13th centuries from the Mediterranean basin in association with the Benin haplotype, and after the 15th century from Black Africa over an Atlantic route, Senegal and Bantu haplotypes. Okay, 8th to 13th century, that's 700 AD to 1200 AD. Isn't that the period we're talking about? And what type of sickle cell is it, folks? The Benin haplotype. Did we know this? Did we know this? So therefore we can infer that the culture indeed was mostly African. Now what does the term Moor mean? It was a geographical term of Phoenician origin, and it originally meant Western. The Phoenicians applied the term to the people of Northwest Africa. Another theory claims that the word Moor is derived from a Kushite capital city called Meroe. Now, the Greeks and Romans adopted the term Maori, but also described these same Northwest Africans as Nigri, black, and Adusti, scorched. The Latin word Maurus became a synonym with another Latin word Niger, which means black. In other European languages, the association of the term...
So let me break some down. So he said that's associated with Niger, or synonymous Niger in your Bible. Who was Simon? Niger. And who was he kin to? Well, didn't they say Jesus? So I told y'all what I do and what I had the pleasure to do in Go Academia, and I had the pleasure to do my oral dissertation on that the misnomer black man is the father of civilization proved by the Bible alone with no bias.
With Negroes continued well into the Renaissance period, as you know, because Shakespeare did that, right? Now, example, did you know that there was a Catholic saint called Saint Benedict the Moor? And then we read on the Catholic website, Benedict the Moor was born a slave near Messina, Italy. We read on. Then at the very end it says, the surname, the Moor, is a misnomer. So why is it a misnomer? Originating from the Italian il Moro, meaning the black. Now, if il Moro in Italian means the black, what does el Moro in Spanish mean? In it, to use the technical. However, Spanish students of mine, I used to be a school teacher, they insisted that the term morena does not mean black, it means brown. Does that make sense? All right, so we're going to investigate. Now, there are also Wikipedia pages that claim that the term Moor is not an ethnic term, it's a religious term meaning Muslim. Does that make sense?
Well, let me stop right there. As he's showing you from academia, you cannot use Wikipedia. Anything can be put on Wikipedia. If your child is going to school right now, and say if they was having me as their tutor or taking my class, or they can be if they're in their undergrad studies, they cannot use Wikipedia for no studies because Wikipedia is not peer reviewed. They would be kicked out of academia faster than you can say what happened.
All right, let's test this hypothesis. Now, there are modern scholars that will concede that the term Moor does indeed mean black, but according to them, the word Moor means black in every single language except Spanish. Does that make sense? And in Spanish, it doesn't mean black. What does it mean? All right, so there's a passage in the Bible, Song of Songs, and some of you know this. I am black but comely, O you daughters of Jerusalem. Does that make sense? We got that? So what I did was I pulled up a Spanish Bible to find out how was that translated. And guess what word they used for black? Morena, which we've been led to believe means brown. All right, hold that.
Now let me stop right there. I'm gonna give you some other wisdom. In the 1599 Geneva Bible, quote me. In Jeremiah and in other parts of the scripture, and I'm just making a reference. Don't quote me. I'm paraphrasing. It says, "Can a leopard change his spots? No. The same way that a blackamoor cannot change his skin tone." And I'm paraphrasing. Research it. If you got your phone, Google just say Geneva Bible where it talks about the blackamoor. That's all you got to do. It's in Jeremiah. It's in a couple other texts, verses. And then with your hippocampus, you could be like, wait a minute. The 1599 Geneva Bible. And then he just explained it in Spanish. Let's proceed.
Means brown. All right, hold that thought. So you know what I did? There's something called, you've got these various texts, they call it apologetics, where they're breaking down different words of the Bible. Now, can you see where it's got there? The girl's uncertainty, and then you've got third paragraph, RSV, very dark. Can you see that's the same word that was translated as morena? We read on. JB, AV, ASV, more correctly, black. All right, let's carry on. This particular form is used only 6 times in the Old Testament. In this context, the word is hyperbolic. Suntan makes one swarthy, but not black. Although the simile at Song, chapter 5, verse 11, indicates that the meaning of the word is shiny black.
Shiny black.
So, what is therefore the correct translation of morena? Shiny black. Now, how black is that?
Woo!
All right, now, do you remember this? And you're wondering, what's this got to do with anything, right? All right, now, what's really interesting about this is Samuel Pepys had something to say. Samuel Pepys, 23rd of May, 1663. This is his diaries. And so we parted. Only there was walking in the gallery some of the Barbary Company. And there we saw a draft of the arms of the company which the king is of, and so is called the Royal Company, which is in a field argent, an elephant proper with a canton on which England and France is quartered, supported by 2 Moors. the crest and anchor winged? I think it is, and the motto too tedious. And can you see that's that same Latin thing that I couldn't read earlier? So can you see that at the time, people said these were Moors, and then later on, it was now pretended that it was two African blacks. Now, if you can confuse the two, it means that Moors can be confused for African blacks. And we have to thank Sir Samuel Pepys for dropping the science on us.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I've spent the last 43 years now working with people all over the world, 100 countries to show them success with this question of what makes the difference.
Okay, what about the Arabs? Now, the Arabs in Spain were mostly Southern Arabs and Yemenites, and even today many of these people are Negroid. And taken with the Africans, the Islamic culture of Spain was largely a Negro achievement. For this reason, the culture is known as the Moors in Spain, a reference to the black colour of the conquering group, whether from Africa, who were the majority, or whether they were Southern Arabs or Yemenis, who were the minority. All right, now during the pinnacle of intellectual culture in 950 AD, Joseph McCabe tells us books were now in such demand that Professor Ribera estimates Court d'Ivoire alone produced 70,000 to 80,000 a year, all beautifully handwritten and very richly bound. The old parchment roll was discarded, and the manufacture of paper, which the Persians had learned from the Chinese, occupied large mills at Zatifah. The Caliph had a superbly housed collection of at least 400,000, some writers say 600,000 books, in rich bookcases. Courtiers and rich merchants followed his example, and libraries of 10,000 to 50,000 works were found in the mansions of the wealthy. Even the humbler classes thirsted for books, says Ribera, and the servants or ladies of the harem were of higher price if they were well read. The wit of the learned is as precious as the blood of the martyr, a popular proverb ran. One copying shop at Court d'Ivoire employed 170 women, and women authors were highly esteemed. And what that means is there is therefore going to be a genre of black women writers once those documents are tracked down. Okay, so a summary of the Moorish achievements then. The silk industry, agriculture where they were growing rice, sugarcane, dates, ginger, cotton, lemons and strawberries, mining where they were mining gold, silver, tin and lead. There was a maritime industry. There were factories turning out sword blades, turning out shields, turning out brass and iron implements, and the sciences such as the number system we have today, the compass, the teaching of geography from a globe. By the way, the compass, that wasn't an African invention. Somebody else did that. But bringing it into Spain was the Moors. Teaching of geography from a globe, yes. There is a famous Moorish geography text by a scholar called El Idrisi, and he says the world is as round as a sphere, and the waters are adherent on it by a process of natural equilibrium, he means gravity, and it is divided into 360 degrees. This is in a Moorish geography book, 1153. Are we feeling this? Yeah, that book, by the way, the other name for it is Kitab Ruja, the Book of Roger. Moreover, the Materia Medica that Europe had right up until the 1900s was the same one that the Moors introduced. How do we know this? H.G. Wells drops that information. Right, now impacting Europe. By 950 AD, centers of learning were just beginning in Christian Europe. Located at Barcelona, Toulouse, Marseille, Lyon, Segovia, etc., they existed to translate text.
I'm gonna pause it right there. So, I hope my brothers and sisters is getting an introduction of hold on, don't mind me, y'all. I want to plug something up real fast. I want to move this a little bit and do a little bit of rearranging, so pardon me. I want to do a little bit of rearranging here, if you don't mind. Pardon me. I want to bring it back a little bit because I have to plug my... Sorry about that, for that little technical difficulty. Peace, Noble Brian. Peace, peace, peace. But let's get back to the ballistics. And like I'm saying, if anybody on my Facebook page, please come to my YouTube channel at Kari, my name, IBNA, Hakeem, Goodman Bay.
Right.
So, like I said, we got a lot to talk about. We only, 40 minutes in. But if you want to watch that lecture and that teaching for yourself by Professor Robin Walker, it's called The Civilization of the Moors on YouTube. I have so much history and scholarship from so many levels where we don't deal with man-made religion. Because when a Scooby-Doo covering is pulled, you will see that I don't care what religion you are, history is history. And I know people can't probably see this. Man, you know what? I might take that. Let me see, can I take this? Hey, Empress, I might have to have my Empress take this background out because I want to show this book. Let me see how I take this background up. I don't know how to do it. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. I don't know. Oh, well. But anyway, it's a book called the Thomas Jefferson Quran by Muhammad Sale. And I'm also reference a book, and this stuff is right in the library. It's called The History of the Reign of Ferdinand and Isabella Prescott. It's a little red book. And I just want to give a little introduction of the Thomas Jefferson Quran, because I gave an introduction of the other Quran, which the professor illustrated. I read it the other day. But listen to this. Listen to this. Among the 6,500 books sold to Congress by Jefferson in 1815 to replace the Congressional Library that had been destroyed when the British burned the Capitol during the War of 1812, was a translation of the Quran by George Sales. Sales' translation included more than 100 pages of notes written from a Christian perspective, including advice on how Muslims might be converted. These are preserved within the text, with only this introduction being added. There is some debate about whether he purchased his copy of the Quran in law school in order to follow the references found in this book, or if he purchased his copy of the Quran later in order to research the faith of the jihadists of his day, the Barbary pirates. Listen clearly. Of course, these two uses of the Quran, once Jefferson had the volume within his possessions, are not mutually exclusive. He very well may have used his Quran for both purposes. Jefferson cataloged the books within his library by subject and included the Quran with other legal texts. But he also confronted Islamic extremists often during his story time. Hold on, I'm sorry, y'all. Let me see what is. Yep. While Thomas Jefferson was serving as U.S. ambassador for France, the Betsy, a merchant brig, was captured on October the 11th, 1784, by Moroccan corsairs. Now keep corsairs in your head. After Spain's foreign minister, Jose Moniz y Dinando, negotiated the release of the captured ship and crew, Spain advised the United States to follow their course of action and pay tribute now to the Berber Muslims. Just call them Corsicans. I'm trying to tell you, I hope you're following me. To prevent further attacks. Months after the Betsy was captured, 2 additional American ships were seized, and their crew of 21 men was enslaved by now Algerian Corsicans, or Corsairs, A schooner, Marie, commanded by Captain Isaac Stevens, was captured off Cape St. Vincent, Portugal, on July 24, 1785, and a week later on July 30, 1785. The Dolphin, commanded by Captain Richard O'Brien, was captured off Cadiz, Spain. This time Spain was unwilling to negotiate on America's behalf. right? Jefferson in 1786, along with John Adams, the U.S. ambassador of Great Britain, met with Tripoli's ambassador to Great Britain, Sidi Hajj Abdul Rahman Ajad. Thomas Jefferson reported the conversation to the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, remember, John Jay. We took the liberty to make some inquiries concerning the grounds of their pretensions to make war upon a nation who had done them no injury, and observed that we consider all mankind as our friends, who had done us no wrong, nor had given us any provocation. The ambassador answered us that it was founded on the laws of their prophet. Now you remember I just told you somebody put it in their law library. Remember I told you Socrates and Plato's Aristotle, Napoleon, they wanted to be Muslim. They wanted to be under that wisdom. Stay in context. The ambassador answered, it was the law of their prophet, that it was written in their Quran that all nations who should not have acknowledged their authority were sinners, that it was their right and duty to make war upon them whenever they could be found, and to make slaves of all they could take as prisoners, and that every Muslim, aka Muslim, who should be slain in battle was sure to go to paradise. He said also that the man who was the first to board a vessel had one slave over and above his sire. You heard what I'm talking about? And that when they sprang to the deck of the enemy ship, every sailor held a dagger in each hand and a third in his mouth, which usually struck such terror into the foe that they cried out for quarter at once. Thomas Jefferson decided to send representatives to where? Morocco and Algeria, to try to negotiate treaties and to secure the freedom of the captured sailors. Each of the four Berber Muslim states demanded 60,000. The envoys, however, were only given a budget of 40,000. Diplomatic negotiations to reach an amount for tribute or for the ransom of the captured sailors bogged down. The crews of Maria and Dolphin remained in captivity for over a decade and were soon joined by other crews. Letters and testimonies by captured sailors described their captivity as slavery. Most captivities were forced into hard labor in the service of Barbary pirates and lived in extremely harsh conditions. In 1795, Algeria came to an agreement to result in the release of 115 American sailors they held at the cost of over $1 million. The U.S. paid Algiers the ransom and agreed to pay up to $1 million per year for the safe passage of American ships. A $1 million payment in ransom and tribute to the Islamic States in 1800 would have amounted to approximately 10% of the U.S. government's annual revenue. So in 1801, when Jefferson was president, Tripoli demanded a massive payment from the United States, along with the increased annual tribute. But in order to continue securing safe passages for American ships through the Mediterranean, Jefferson refused the demands, and instead of sending more money, he sent naval warships carrying the new created U.S. Marine Corps. And this is where the line, the shores of Tripoli and the Marine Corps hymn come from. I can go deeper and deeper with it, but all my people know what I'm saying. It's in Thomas Jefferson Quran. I don't want to stay too far in it. I'm just using it as reference. And now when I'm going to talk about in history, the history of the reign of Ferdinand and Isabella. Right in the intro. Watch this. I don't even have to go too far in the work of Ferdinand and Isabella. I challenge people to get it and read it so you can see where I'm coming from. You know, for several hundred years after the great Saracen, so in your Bible, you know who the Saracens are. You know, when you talk about things, invasion in the beginning of the 18th century, Spain was broken up into a number of small but independent states, divided into their interests, and often in deadly hostility with one another. It was inhabited by races, the most dissimilar in their origin, religion, and government, the least important of which has exerted a sensible influence on the character and institutions of its present inhabitants. At the close of the 14th or the 15th century, the various races were blended into one great nation under one common rule. Its territorial limits were widely extended by discovery and conquest. Discovery and conquest, like what? You know what I'm talking about. Colonization. Its domestic institutions and even its literature were molded into the form which to a considerable extent they have maintained to the present day. It is the object of the present narrative to exhibit the period in which these momentous results were effected. The reign of what? Ferdinand and Isabella. By the middle of the 15th century, the number of states into which the country had been divided was reduced to 4 castiles: Aragon, Navarra, and the Moorish Kingdom of Granada. And the Moorish Kingdom of Granada. The last comprised within nearly the same limits as the modern province of the name was all that remained to the Muslims. And if Muslim is spelled with an M-O-S-L-E-M-S. Why do you think? You tell me. I don't know. I could play stupid, but you tell me. Of their once vast possessions in the peninsula. The little kingdom of Navarre, embosomed within the Pyrenees, had often attracted the avarice of neighboring and more powerful states. But since their selfish schemes operated as a mutual check upon each other, Navarre still continued to maintain their independence. I don't want to stay too far in that, but I'm challenging you to get the history of the reign of Ferdinand and Isabella, and we can talk so much more on these topics. Well, excuse me, on these topics, because just like John Henry Clark said, and just like tomorrow when I play Dr. Ben, we all say the same things as scholars and educators. Like, why are we afraid to talk about the truth of the matter? We know who we Moors, even my European scholars. When I showed y'all the Igbo, the Hebrew, nobody can just put you in a box and say you're not this and you're not that. I have these documents by Rabbi Yehuda Takua ben Somir. All my muftis know it. I share all these documents. I have the pleasure to do this in academia. That's why I'm saying I know what we can do. And then when I talk from another perspective, when I talk about the real Indian is the Negro, aka the Blackamoor, and I show documents what our brothers and sisters had previously, when I say all the science really is going to revert back to you, it's just some of our brothers and sisters are gatekeepers. And it's no disrespect. And I'm going to speak on it. Why? Because I'm 99 degrees ancient rite of Memphis and Mizraim. I haven't took no oath. It's nothing secret with me. It's sacred. I have my own charter. I tell people if all those things were good, why it's not just, how can I say, the thing in our communities? Why our brothers and sisters and some of our brothers and sisters and uncles and aunties, they may be Freemasons and Eastern Stars, and nobody know about these affiliations until the flesh is gone. And then if they so good, then why they're not in the communities? Why we don't have infrastructures? I mean, that's what I ask my brothers and sisters. I mean, because I don't think they know anything about solidarity, really. If you understand the science and the wisdom of solidarity, and then solidarity means us as a people from communities from a place of subjugation should have a common denominator. And when we have a teacher in house that can teach and synchronize the teachings of who we are and liberate from all perspectives, I really believe that's the mission. And everybody, and that's all I really promulgate. I don't promulgate nothing else. There's no reason. So I just wanted to share those little introductions of some wisdom. Let me see how long I was going. Okay, we got a little bit more time. And I just wanted to give a little enlightenment when I talk about manifestation and what is it all about when people be telling you to be poor. And I ask everybody on here, read Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19. Anybody that's on here right now, I challenge you to read Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19, and tell me what you get after you read that. You can put it on there, because people are always going to say some of the most outlandish stuff and then say, well, explain this. Well, explain. They can't, but you should be able to explain it. They're trying to say, well, hey, you can't, we don't know God, it's too big for God. Ain't too big for our scholars. All our ancient scholars gonna agree to me, no matter what color they are. Watch this. I'm gonna give a little enlightenment, you know, when I tell people I love my spirituality, you know, but we have to understand how to use our mind. We have to understand how to make right decisions. You know? That's what I'm talking about. So is the mind trained in a certain way? And if brothers and sisters that say they have something that took an oath, then you gotta tell me, why have you took an oath? If you have something so good, and you can say the community's messed up, and you have something so good, and you can teach the brothers about who they are and history and spirituality, because Elijah Muhammad was a Mason. That's how he knew a little bit of it. I'm telling you. And people can feel any way they want to feel about what I'm saying. When I try to tell people all this stuff, all these get-rich-quick schemes, all these people, if you follow my way, that's bull crap. That's a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme. It's a book called The Influencer. That's why they always talk about, if you don't do this, you stupid. No, that's crap. They always talk about buy my program. For what? It's no fixed sequence or way to manifest anything. So these bees I got on mean poo diddly. All the books mean poo diddly. I'm telling you what I know. I study too much to believe any book. People be telling you they discovered this and discovered that. You can't discover nothing. It ain't nothing that man has discovered new. Nothing. You just wasn't into the know, or we wasn't into the know. I don't care how many books we buy. I don't care what you buy into all these so-called, no disrespect, on the internet. They say this and this. Bull crap. For people that don't understand, a liberator, a prophet, and angel come from your own people. I don't disrespect nobody else, but I said, please, like all the rest of the stuff is meaningless. No disrespect. And why I say this? Because this is my background. When I be like, that's not true, that's not true. And I can say, well, a person should prove me wrong. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, prove all things and hold fast to what is good. I did this in academia, so I know I can't be proven wrong. With all respect. When people talk about the law of attraction, success, failures, all those things. Some people may have instant gratification. Like I'll be talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some people read that Rich Dad and Poor Dad and have that inspiration in them to what? To use all those tools that's put in that template to manifest. Because some people use that template to make it, and some didn't. So what I'm saying, what is the key to success? The key to success is not in no box. It can't be sold. I hope you understanding what I'm saying. Some people hit it and get it right away. Others try the same series or the same process, or say, well, I'm going to do what this person do, and get what? Poo diddly. You will say, I'm not doing it right. So a person will buy more books, and they attend more seminars and attempt to find out where they have gone wrong. And I've been telling you, you ain't going wrong. Because the closest place to success, the closest place to Allah is in the heart. I keep telling people. I said, you got to listen to it. Everybody key to success is different. But they give credit, what? To the creator. Understand what I'm saying? And what I'm telling you and my brothers and sisters, even though we look at other things that's magnified, that's wrong, but we haven't gone wrong. I'm telling my brothers with confidence and motivation and the look in my eye with sincerity that all you have done was to try out a series of steps that didn't work for you. And all you have to do is find a series of steps that works for you. What I'm talking about, the right manifestation, consistency, commitment. What's the other one? Communication. Sequence of them is not going to be word for word, something recommended by some teacher out there. That's why when I tell people, when Brother Carlin was on here and he was saying, "Sheep because of you," no, ain't nothing because of me. A map and a guide ain't nothing to me. A map and a guide is just show you what's in you and just bring out the best. Anything that you doing, anything, I'm gonna bring out the best because that's what a map and guide does. Now I can show you some of the skills or some of the craft that I may have to help you in your journey, but all this stuff is already in your DNA or your RNA. It's embedded in you. I just bring it out. If we can bring the worst out of us, you say, man, the people bring the worst out of me. So if you put that and put the creator's power in that context, and then say you can't put the creator's power in another manifestation and say this person right here have elevated me and brought out the best of me, come on, man. That's what we talk about, building and giving honor and glory and homage. It may be something that you have to go through. Your testimony. Your testimony. Because when you get to that pinnacle, then what? You have to come back and reach. That's what I tell people. You can't get to the pinnacle from a community and don't come back and reach. You can't get to the pinnacle and don't reach somebody that's doing something. Like Harry Belafonte told all them brothers that was athletes and basketball players and Jim Brown and like, y'all make y'all money. Support the one that had the background of this with how the money you giving to Uncle Sam. This is what I'll be telling brothers and sisters. So we don't have to complain about Pooh Diddley. It's so much uniqueness in us that we bring to the planet. This is what I tell my brothers and sisters. Hey, a part of you is not evil. No two individuals are the same. Twins ain't the same, even though they may look like that on the outer perspective. We all have different preferences. Just like if we didn't, then I know two NBA players. The one brother, them big tall brothers, I forget their name. One of them is, go the other way, his sexuality. Do the other one? No. So that'll tell you that they have different things and different preferences. With all due respect. You like different foods. People have different sleeping habits, especially different eating habits. So why should we all of us use the exact same manifestation steps? This one I tell you when I can speak clearly from the heart, when I'm like, that's cap. When the person, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, that's cap. They selling you a dream. It's fugazi. I'm telling you. And the person, anyone that's honest, they'll be like, Sheik, you know what, that's right. Now, there's some things I can tell you that's manufactual. When I talk about subjective and objective, it's some things that we can break down from wisdom and agree on when I talk about subjective and objective. But the other stuff, we can say all cap. And you know it. And why should there only be one right manifestation techniques, or even just a handful of right techniques prescribed by the so-called gurus out there that make money off a whole bunch of people telling you this stuff? And then some people can do it and it happen, and some other people will do it, it don't happen. So that tell you, it ain't got nothing to do with what these people are saying. It got to tell you what's all in you. It ain't no lucky rabbit foot, it ain't nothing. And this is what I'm saying, what we should have in our set, where we give everything back and we teach it in our own houses. The great spiritual master certainly didn't just teach a rigid series of steps. That's why any of my brothers and sisters that I have the pleasure to be a map and a guide, I don't teach no specific steps to say do this way. I say if whatever you do would be the best. And we look up the principles. We look up the template of life and how to do things. Why? Because it's nothing new under the sun. Why? Because there never was a time when man was not. And people can do things greater than I. And greater than I can do things greater than I. You see? And it's, of course, it's broad principles that provide some kind of a framework. That's what I'm talking about when I'm using the vernacular of a template per se. But what's in the template, our individual, how can I say, keenness, our individual, how can I say, DNA. Or the idiosyncrasis means that you have to do some tweaking to find what works for you. You know? When people say, well, what do you mean, she? I'm blessed. I understand you're blessed. So I understand the game of life that we're in. And these manifestations in that aspect. What you mean? Because any game, anything that you're trying to do, I bet you don't go to any game want to lose. I bet you can be honest right now and say, man, when I go in this game, I just want to be, do okay. That's crazy. That's cap. You want to be the best. You want to win. I look at it like that. This ain't no chore. To wake up, to manifest, to love, to cook, to do all these things, to inspire. I don't look at this as no chore. Just like John Henry Clark said, I choose to do this. And if anything I choose to do different, I hope I can do this better. That's all. And I hope what we do will click in faster. That's all. I don't keep score based on how well someone say they follow all these steps when they doing all this. Well, I do this and I do this and I blow the cipher at 3:00 in the morning. Who cares? Just like you say, you do all this stuff and no work, like that's gonna make something, like that's gonna make you better. No, that's tradition. Is anything wrong with tradition? No. But tradition means nothing. You should know, and I'm telling you, as a map and a guide, that so-called steps may not always work what a person say work for them. But you should be open. Just like when I speak, you should be open to try anything that comes your way when it's right. When a person say, well, what is the key to success? It's no key to success. What the key to success is an ever-going, everlasting roadmap until the flesh is gone. So you can talk about the process of getting from this step to the next step. You can talk about those things. How? Getting to the next step to the next step. We can look at things and say, well, this works. Why? Because look. So you can add things. You can change things around. If you say you a scientist and you in a laboratory with your test tubes and your beakers, you should want your map and a guide doing that. Why? To add and to get into things that say we can improve on what we may know. Or add value, or say this is not what it needs to be. Because we can investigate it and we can compare and contrast. It's proof that everything works. I'm telling you. Think about this, man. Just when I say the simplicity of what I'm talking about. And everybody can see this because I talk about common things. Just like when I talk about money manifestations. And I say just with money manifestations, how many of you on here can be honest and say, okay, when you walk past a penny and don't pick it up. You may walk past a nickel and don't pick it up. I'm telling you a common money, a wisdom or manifestation that see, if you see money like that anywhere, you pick it up. So when people talk about voodoo and this, it's certain things that when I ain't saying it work for everyone, it may work for other people, and they use that as the steeple to say, because I respected this little, I've been able to do this. I've been acquired to do this. Or they say, hey man, I met Shikari Goodman Bay. I was taking these business classes and this brother helped me not only save money, but put things in the best perspective of how to do what I'm doing in the right way. Because I don't tell nobody what to do. I say, I hope you know what you're doing and I hope your paperwork right. And then you deal with the people that rock with you. Those are things. And understand how to do those avenues and use what you have to do what you need to do. You know? But just the intention of having something, it'll fall in line. What you mean just the intention of having something? When you say, wouldn't it be nice? Just think about this. Wouldn't it be nice if I had X, Y, and Z? And I ain't talking about nothing specific because I don't ask the creator for no money or no genie. And then you think nothing about it, but I'm putting it in a metaphor that you can understand what I'm saying. And there's something and how somehow in your daily life, you do your usual thing. But then what happens? Those very things that you may thought about, that you may manifest, the very light intended will come into life in the most harmonious way possible, in the most harmonious way possible. Just like, for instance, say if you like, damn, in your spirit, like you need something. And in your regular life, you do what you need to do. And I'm just putting it out there. I just use it as just something as simple. Let's say you need a phone charger. I'm making it simple. You say, damn, you don't got no phone charger. Okay. But you go with somebody and say, hey man, with your home, hey man, I'm about to go, drop some packages off, man. Will you help me? Absolutely, because you love charity for some youth or for some seniors or whatever. In the midst of doing that, and this is how the atmosphere works. You say, oh, your homie like, oh man, I got all these chargers, man, that I've gotten, from the store I work with. You need one? Boom, you need a charger. You got one. The exact one you need. This is what I be talking about. Ancient techniques. Not saying that you pondering on it or saying this is what you need. None of that. You might look for things and go for things and then boom, right in the moment, in the twinkling of an eye. You don't worry about those things. Some things you don't worry about. It can come right where? From you least expected. Some of the places that you might normally not do, or some of the people you might normally give things to. When you give those things, you might not know you're talking to somebody that be in a position to do what? Take it to the next level. And that's what I'm talking about. How? When I'm always being generous. When I'm always in my charitable mode. And I'm in Arizona. This is what I be telling. I meet so many different people like, man, people should know. But I just give honor to what's manifesting. And I'm taking my people on this beautiful ride. But everything seems to line up when you do things the right way as yes, 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 because that's how it works. I'm just telling this to illustrate a certain topic. When you don't religiously go through no steps per se, the manifestation process per se. Like when I say I have to write down on my desires, because I am my desires. You are the walking testimony. You all that. All those outside things, yes, is it, if that works for you, yes. But it's others that say I have to write none down. I have to do all that. Why? Because I am all that. We visualize it fervently. When I talk about that aha moment, that light intention. When I say once things as from the right perspective, you got to let it go completely. And then it manifests in your life. These how things go. And I'm sure all brothers and sisters can find many other similar examples in your own life. What I'm saying to you that you made strangely and wonderfully, that's no bad connotation. It means that you are not only a masterful manifester, but it also means you're free from the need to follow any sequence or series of steps. Why? Because the Creator told you that you made in the image and likeness of I. So if you made in the image and likeness of I, what steps and what some tools you got to use? You make up your own sequence and tweak it as you go along. When I talk about your frequency, your life is to be enjoyed. In the scripture, it said, he made man to be ruler over this and that and the other. So that's a form of enjoyment. You got to understand that what worked for you in the past and then add value to it. For myself, and I only can talk about myself as a living testimony. When I state the intentions in a certain way, things have happened for me. And when I state intentions in another way, things do not seem to happen so easily for me. Now, I'm not saying they don't happen, but not as easily. So I do this, and I take the first instance, and I study on it, I ponder on it, I contemplate on it, I don't procrastinate on it, to see what lessons I can glean from it. I take all my successful manifestations and ask myself, the Holy Spirit within that's guiding me, what's common about all of them? And when I ask the Holy Spirit within this question, I always focus on how I was feeling at that time. When I say I'm always in a peaceful manifestation, when I'm going into that place. Not so much of the things I did or the nature of objects that manifested, but we should approach, and I approach manifestation scientifically. But I also maintain a childlike and playful attitude. Understand the science of what I'm saying. You know? It's a very beautiful piece of wisdom. I'm gonna give you a sequence and I'm out of here. When I talk about everything starts with an intention, aka in your Bible, everything starts with a thought. Your thought should be intentional. Your thought should have a purpose, which are your intentions. And the inside should match the outside. What? You say you love somebody, but inside you say, oh man, I really don't like that nigga, blah, blah, blah. It's okay. But when people are into what they into, they smell it like an alcoholic. But generally, there are a few principles to adhere to when attempting to be a deliberate and conscious creator, because you all are creators. I'm just going to outline a few principles in this rotation. But while there are no rigid or fixed series of steps to adhere to, like I said, there are a number of very broad universal principles that we find to work. And I found to work with myself, and I just give them to you, not as the only way, but tools to add to the toolbox. And they work for countless others. The reason why these work is because we are aligned with the laws of the universe and the basic fabric of how things operate in our universe. That's why I tell people you always want to start everything with the intention. You, like, for instance, I have to be honest, as I grew up in my mental, I had to go with the intention. When I was going to school, when I said I wanted to do this, but my intentions ain't right, I'm just saying it. You have to have the right intention going all the way in. When that clicks, when that happens for you, and I don't know when it'll happen, but with these tools work because they work for me. When it happens, then you will understand you have all the tools in the toolbox. To do what? Succeed. How? Because that's how life goes. An intention is stating something you want, or a statement or thought about something, what you want. Without an intention, there is no inception or starting through, or starting thought, a beginning. Remember, in the beginning was the word. So you have to have a starting, what? Start. It have to start somewhere. And consequently, what? Nothing happens. So think of an intention as a starting point, or a thought that sets into motion a series of observable actions and events. When I tell brothers, do you see yourself succeeding? Do you see yourself doing this? Do you see yourself eating right? Do you see yourself supporting what you say? Do you see yourself doing that? When you look at that mirror, do you see yourself doing that? Because if not, that don't mean that the science don't work. That means that you're not applying the tools of what? That works. This is where free will comes in. This is where we are gods come in. When you are God, we're talking about free will, your choice. And we can set an intention about what? Any dang thing we want to. We can set our mind to do anything that we want. How? I'll give you an analogy. A crackhead don't have no job, no nothing. But that crackhead gonna find a way to what? Smoke that dope every day, ain't they? You damn right. They gonna find a way to smoke that dope. Or drunk. He might not have no job on the streets. What? He gonna be drunk every day. How is that? Because that individual's intention is set on what? So hard, so focused, so deliberate, what? On getting that drug. Y'all don't hear me? I'm using that as a metaphor. Come on, man. And we can desire anything. I'm telling you what I know. There is nothing too big or small for you and I to desire. And you and I can choose to have anything. How? The same way that we choose what? Unhealthiness is the same way we can choose healthiness. Why? Because if it's a thing of such unhealthy, it got to be a thing of healthy. If it's a thing of not eating right, it got to be a thing of eating good. Come on now. And there are absolutely no limits or no limitations because we do not even know what our limits or limitations are. That's why as a parent and as a child, when you raise the people up, you should have no expectations. Why? Why should we? You just want what? The best. Because what? Life is limitless with what? No expectations and no limits. That's why. When you have expectations for a person and they exceed the expectations, then what? Oh, the reason why I'm like this because I saw this. And then the other one to say the reason why I'm succeeding because I saw the same thing you saw. So what's the excuse? None. It's the intention. Y'all don't hear me? And you can state an intention in any way. Hey, Empress. But you can state an intention in any way. But you do not state it. Some people do not put the intention in words. Hold on, let me check something, y'all. I'm sorry. All right, we good. We good. They just telling me my time almost. Okay, I'm good. But you don't have to state nothing. Some of us do not put our intention in any words. When I say you a walking testimony, it's inside of us. We don't have to do things for the world. We set an intention in terms of our thoughts, our feelings, or we form observing sometimes or something. And the universe picks up from there. I hope you're rocking with me, aka the Holy Spirit. One thing I've learned is that the universe is always there for you and I. It's never failing. You do not have to worry about nothing. Not present in your life, or that is missed out on the one of your intentions. When people be like, oh, if I should have did this, I should have did that. But no, you comparing that to somebody else's life. Somebody's intentions on your life. But with everything that you want to do, you can manifest it now. And I'm telling you, when you connect to the right source, anything that you say that you wanted to do, once you connect to the right, because the switch is not it, it's the electricity. You can conquer everything. That's why there is no need to state an intention over and over. If you're clear and pure about it, we're not dealing with no genie stuff. One time is enough. I'm telling you what, one time is enough. Nothing that you put out there in the atmosphere one time is in vain. Everything, every other time you begging. Any repetition is for your own conscience, your own reasoning, and your own mind. And I ain't saying there's nothing wrong with that. But some people find it easier to state our intentions or desires formally in words. What I mean is that some people write or say out loud, I do this and I manifest, I declare and I decree this, etc., XYZ. Everything goes. And what works for you will be unique for you, brothers and sisters. Some other people, they do other things. They might leapfrog per se, saying or writing of intentions, and go on to demonstrate faith through their actions by clearing up certain things. You know, for people, charity per se. That might be their thing. Their action is also an intention. They're not doing it, they're doing it for what? An intention. Is it good, is it bad? Not me for the judge. But if the spirit is right, and if you say you're doing this and the spirit is right in everything that you do, then it's what? A good intention. As it signals their intent for their new piece of whatever they're trying to do, whatever they're trying to see. And universe always picks up on your intentions. How? Perfectly. I'm telling you, I don't care if you give something to somebody, but the universe is going to pick up your intentions. Your intentions. That's why I encourage everyone at the Map and a Guide to find different ways to state your intentions as living vessels. You may find, like myself, it's nothing but a thought. Other times, more than a thought may be necessary for you and others. Is there anything wrong with that? No. You may find a need to say it out loud a couple times. You may have to write it down. Write it out. Go through your ritual or your voodoo where you state your intentions clearly. You might give it to the Eligua or the Santeria or the Orisha. You might put the penny on the railroad tracks. I'm talking to my Eligua. Bear in mind that no matter what form or method, and my Santeria, I'm sorry y'all, I didn't mean to exclude you, that you adopt, only you know what works for you. There is no right or wrong method here. And so my last one as I close is that your intentions must be clear. Because I'm going to end on the 3. The intention which you and I state must be clear, must be with confidence. It must not be, it must not be from a place of unsureness. When I'm talking about you state universally, we state our broader intentions, and those will work. As the universe will often feel the details for you. When people be asking other people, do you got a word? And they be saying no. How can you not have a word? The universe fill everything in. When you are in the context of the spirit always gives you a word. If you in the spirit, well then, if you don't have a word of the spirit, then that tells you you're not in the spirit. If somebody asks you to quote a rap song, you can do it. Then that means you are in the spirit of the rap song. But if you don't have a word and you say you in the spirit and you can't drop a word in the spirit at any time, then you're not in the spirit. And the spirit don't resides. Is it okay? Yes. So let's start by explaining what a clear intention means per se. Because a clear intention means working on one desired thing, object, or outcome at a time. I'm ready, babe. Oh, the veggies done?
What was these veggies at? Frozen?
Something wrong with them?
They were just,
I was going to put them in the air fryer, but you good.
but they still, that's the wet, they was wet.
It's okay.
Got it.
Working on the multiple intentions, that's fine, babe. But working on the multiple intentions at the same time is often a recipe for confusion and non-manifestation. Because a lot of people put too many things on their plate. When I say, okay, if you're trying to accomplish some things, let's look at it as accomplishments and let's see how to accomplish these things. And once you put a plan together to accomplish these things, then you move forward. Because that's what life is about, what? Preparation. And when preparations meet what? Opportunity, then what? Something happens. And if you want to manifest something or attract a new anything, then you state the intention for the using of that means that I explained in the previous manifestation. So if you find that imagination or you imagining yourself doing something, the best way you state that you can do these things is your intention. What is your intention to do this? Like when people say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this to go floss on my people." That ain't right. You know? And if you find writing your intention is the best way to get started, then I'm telling you right now from out of my mouth, you write it down. You don't let nobody tell you. That's just like some people say, "Oh man, I can remember everything and write it down." Like rappers say, "Oh, I don't write nothing down. Everything in my head." Whoop de freaking do. There's like a whole bunch of people say, "Well, I know I know Arabic, this, and the other." Great, but the Quran, those speakers say you got to know a certain language to know the truth. Because the truth is the truth and a lie is a lie. I don't give a damn what language you speak. And speaking the language, it's not contingent on righteousness. You see? So don't cramble multiple things into your intention statements. Don't do that. Do the things with the right intention. And when you have the right intention, it's like a domino effect. Other things will fall in line. How? Watch this. Let me tell you what fall the line. Working out, eating right, drinking water the right times, doing what's right for your body. It's going to be a domino effect to everything. What? How your skin look, how you wake up, your libido, your skin, your energy. All those things is going to manifest on the outside. I promise you. So I want to tell y'all, it's your intentions on everything that you ask from the Creator. It's no difference between some small and large intention. Cause I don't go to the Creator with nothing small. I go to the Creator with magnanimous, how can I say, suggestions. With magnanimous. And I've had those large manifestations happen quickly. How? When I've gone through my academic endeavor. I've written all these books in a short matter of time. A lot of things in my life is on automatic pilot. So I don't ask the Creator for nothing. I just want the Creator to magnify what I'm doing more.
Said we go to Walmart now.
You see?
Get some coffee.
So it's your own perception. It's your own limitations that you place on yourself. You place limitations and lower expectations on ourselves. When the kids come to other people and say, well, I want to do this and that and the other, and then adult or somebody say, well, that's you shouldn't dream that big. Why the hell shouldn't they? Or they should say, well, I want to be a multi-billionaire. No, you should just want to be 1,000-aire. That don't even make sense. You should tell them, like the Army say, be all that you can be. And you don't have to be all that you can be in the Army. You can be all that you can be in the world, in your craft. Why not? Look at it. What makes others better than you? The intention. They are believable. You should be believable in your intentions. And in life, anything is possible. Remember when Kevin Garnett won a championship? And here it is, some, no disrespect, but some NBCs, some Negroes, black and colored, can play some basketball and say, anything is possible. No crap. If you playing basketball, somebody gonna win. Duh. Somebody gonna win a championship. I don't think that's nothing so powerful. But I understand the statement. Because anything is possible. Not just on no basketball court. So practice stating your intentions until you are clear. So that's what I wanted to share. I don't want to go too far in it, but you have to get into some confidence and understanding if you believe. I hope you're not still on your knees. I hope my brothers are not saying, yeah, kumbaya. Just like right here, we can have a clear discussion, and I can ask anybody on here with their common sense. I'll say, what you think kumbaya mean? You might not know what it means. You say, what have you been told by your parents? You will say kumbaya mean what? Come by here. And everybody that's honest will say, yep. Sean, didn't you think kumbaya mean that? Come by here? What you thought it meant? Well, you know what it means because we teach it, but from growing up, you thought kumbaya mean what? Come by here, right? But I'm telling you from love and from scholarship, when you research from the lexicon, the kum, the by, and the ya, in no way possible, it can mean come by here. If anything, it means stand up and arise. The kum, the ba, and the ya. These is facts. So what I'm saying is we need a re-education. Like Carter G. Woodson said, we had a miseducation. We need a re-education. And if we're going to join any other fraternities or any other thing, any Greek fraternities, any Masonic orders, and if you join those orders and you don't know who you are, tell me what's the purpose. And that's all I share with my brothers and sisters. But if anybody don't have any questions, I thank y'all for taking time out y'all day. I thank y'all for listening to little old me. Y'all can research those films at your leisure.
Yeah, but it had the stuff in.
And you can see what I'm talking about. So even if we got children and kids, I think we really need to sit down and get a perspective, because a lot of our kids think everything comes from slavery. Most of your children think they come from Africa. Most of your children think they come from slavery. Most of your kids don't think the rich history of Moorish history, because now, technology, you get all the stupid stuff. And so I just hope we be able to bring something back to us like our elders did, and they died in a certain way. And I said right now, we have the opportunity to have our own infrastructure. And so I thank everybody for listening to me. I'm about to smash. But remember, if y'all need anything, you know my contact. Hit me up. Thank y'all. And y'all have an amazing day. Peace.